Formula One is known to be the highest level of motorsports in the world. Drivers succeed, win races, and claim championships through hard work, determination, and skill. But sometimes, the only thing a driver needs is a little bit of luck. Today, we're going to take you on a ride through some of the luckiest moments in Formula One's long history, showcasing drivers who were just in the right place at the right time, creating some of F1's most legendary and unforgettable moments. Welcome to Racer's Reverie. Make sure you hit subscribe for more videos just like this. Now let's dive right into the luckiest moments in Formula One history. The first crazy moment of incredible luck we're going to check out is one of the most iconic races that F1 has ever seen. Newer fans have seen some controversial moments in recent years, but this one may have been the most controversial of all. The events that unfolded at the 1994 Australian Grand Prix were astounding. It was the final race of the 1994 Formula One World Championship, where Michael Schumacher of Benetton and Damon Hill of Williams, who had relentlessly battled side by side all year, came into the championship decider with Schumacher ahead by just 1 point. Whoever finished ahead at the end of the race would win the championship. If neither driver scored any points, Schumacher would win the championship. The stakes couldn't have been higher. On lap 36, Hill was catching Schumacher for the lead and putting huge pressure on him. Suddenly, in a heart-stopping moment, Schumacher went off the track and hit the wall, but luckily managed to pull his car back onto the track. When Hill came around the corner, he found himself right behind Schumacher. At this point, the championship seemed to hang in the balance. And then the unthinkable happened. Hill attempted to pass Schumacher, but as he did, Schumacher dramatically turned in and the pair made huge contact. Schumacher was eliminated immediately, and Hill's car was so damaged that he was forced to retire from the race.
It's a bit of an empty feeling, but I think I gave him a good run for his money.
As neither driver scored any points, Schumacher clinched his first world championship by just a single point. But this is where the story takes a shocking twist, as fans have been divided over this one question. Was this a massive stroke of luck for Schumacher? Or was there more to it? Some people argue that Schumacher intentionally caused the collision, knowing that if neither him nor Hill finished the race, he would secure the championship. The Williams team was sure that Schumacher hit Hill on purpose, but as they were still grieving Ayrton Senna's death from earlier that year, they decided not to protest Schumacher's title. Either way, an incredible amount of luck was involved, as the stewards in Adelaide that day deemed it to be a racing incident, crowning Schumacher world champion. In this next crazy example, Michael Schumacher and his Ferrari strategists showed all of us their genius on and off the track by using extremely quick thinking, once again paired with a bit of luck. The setting was the 1998 British Grand Prix at Silverstone, and the moment was one for the history bucks. Michael Schumacher won a race while in the pit lane. Once the race began, torrential rain fell on the Silverstone circuit. Schumacher seemed sure that he would drive away with the victory for what appeared an inevitable win. But in a dramatic turn of events, a little message from the race officials interrupted his plans. Earlier in the race, Schumacher had passed a car while the safety car was still on the track, which is deemed an unsafe and illegal move. The stewards penalized Schumacher, but they hadn't specified whether Schumacher should be penalized by having 10 seconds added to his overall race time or if he was to serve a stop-go penalty.
It's plus 10 seconds or we must stop?
I don't know.
No.
Time penalty.
Time penalty.
Some quick thinking from the Ferrari pit wall resulted in one of the most iconic race finishes of all time, as they instructed Schumacher to serve his stop-go penalty on the last lap. As Schumacher entered the pits, he crossed the start-finish line in the process, and then served a stop-go penalty. The stewards had never seen anything like this before, and quite frankly, didn't know what to do in this situation. Schumacher and Ferrari managed to get away with it. They got extremely lucky, as all three stewards who were calling the shots that day lost their licenses due to the mess that resulted from their work. This win for Michael Schumacher in the pits remains one of the best examples of F1, demonstrating its unforeseeable, mind-boggling side. At the stunning Circuito Permanente de Jerez under the baking sun of the 1997 European Grand Prix, destiny, talent and pure chance came together in the most extraordinary racing events ever seen. In a qualifying session for the ages, a Hollywood-like script unfolded before everyone's eyes. In Jerez's merciless turns and curves, there could be no errors, and the smallest margins would make the difference. However, at the event's climax, an incredible moment of pure luck occurred, which later would become one of the wildest things to happen in the history of the series. In the final moments of qualifying, up came three of the greatest F1 drivers at the time. Heinz-Harald Frentzen, his teammate and charisma in motion Jacques Villeneuve, and Michael Schumacher. As the clock ticked down, they each finished their flying laps, but when they had finished, something unprecedented had occurred. Looking at the timing screens revealed something incredible. These three giants astonishingly set the exact same lap times, to the millisecond.
This is amazing! I cannot believe this! Heinz-Harald Frentzen has done exactly the same time.
One of those bizarre moments of ridiculous odds that left watchers scratching their heads. It allowed them to be even on the final scoring sheets, something so unique that it left some people running to the rulebook to check what would happen next. In this situation, the driver who set the lap time first would be credited with the highest position. So, as Jacques Villeneuve finished his lap just seconds before the other two drivers, he was given pole position, with Schumacher qualifying second and Frentzen in third. The pure luck in Villeneuve leaving the pit lane moments before his competitors was the difference in qualifying on pole or in third position. This qualifying session was a reminder that even within the high-speed stakes of F1, where every millimeter counts and there is a rule that governs almost everything, things can still get magical and luck can still play a huge role. In the pulse racing world of F1, it's all about speed, technique, and nerves made of steel, which, every now and then, is reduced to fortuitous moments changing the course of history. In some ways, the 2008 Brazilian F1 Grand Prix was an occasion like no other, a Grand Prix that played out with such incredible highs and lows that fans could only watch on in amazement. Lewis Hamilton, the British wonder kid, had to finish the race no lower than 5th in a monsoon at Interlagos if he wanted to win the championship in only his second year in F1. As the race developed, the skies cracked open and the rain fell upon the Interlagos track. His title rival, Ferrari's Felipe Massa, looked as though he had everything wrapped up. He was leading in the race, with only a handful of laps remaining between him and the prize, that elusive title of a Brazilian world champion, for the first time since Ayrton Senna in 1991.
He has done everything he needed to do, and we wait now to find out who will be the world champion.
But fate had other plans. Suddenly, as if in a movie script, the unthinkable happened. Toyota's Timo Glock, who was running 5th in the race and just one position ahead of Hamilton, stayed out after deciding against pitting for wet tyres in the final laps. The track, now increasingly more difficult to drive on, was too wet for Glock, and on the final corner of the final lap, he lost control. In an astonishing twist with just seconds remaining, Hamilton darted past Glock into the last corner and claimed 5th position.
Is that Glock? Is that Glock going slowly?
It is,
That's
it's Glock! Oh my goodness me, Hamilton's back in position again!
McLaren's pit wall exploded with euphoria and Hamilton's fans erupted in joy. This race saw an extraordinary stroke of luck, which worked in Hamilton's favour. He won the 2008 F1 World title by a single point, a dream come true for the young Brit. The 2008 Brazilian Grand Prix will always be a reminder of how luck can dictate fate in F1. The 2008 Singapore Grand Prix was not just a race. It was a whirlwind of events that would go down in Formula One history as one of the most astonishing victories ever. Behind the drama was the Renault team, whose driver Fernando Alonso took victory, but not without a decently sized portion of luck to help him out. The race marked the first ever night race in Formula One history. However, no one could ever have imagined what was about to happen beneath those spectacular spotlights that evening. Starting 15th on the grid, Alonso had his work cut out for him if he wanted a good result. There didn't seem to be much chance he could take the victory, given that Lewis Hamilton and Felipe Massa, his title competitors, were lining up well ahead. However, on this day, we were about to encounter a very strange series of events. As the race developed, Alonso pitted earlier than his rivals. His teammate Nelson Piquet Jr. then crashed, bringing out the safety car. But this opportunity couldn't have come at a better time for Alonso, as his rivals had to then pit. When they rejoined the track, they handed the lead to Alonso, who jumped them in the safety car cycle. He proceeded to do a brilliant job of holding on to this lead, and became the first ever winner of the Singapore Grand Prix.
Fernando won again.
However, this wasn't the biggest story of the night. Months later, it came to light that Renault team boss Flavio Briatore had ordered Nelson Piquet Jr. to crash on purpose, meaning it was orchestrated so that Alonso could win the race. It remains one of the luckiest and also most controversial races in the history of Formula One, and one that will go down in the history books for a multitude of reasons. The 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix was an iconic part of F1 history, a heart-pumping thriller where the title was to be decided by whoever finished ahead of the other, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton. It was a season of ups and downs for each driver, and it culminated in a fascinating, explosive, and controversial finale on that famous evening in Abu Dhabi. As the sun started to dip below the horizon at the Yas Marina circuit, we were all set for an adrenaline-filled finale. Seven-time world champion Hamilton and the eager Verstappen were dueling it out all race long. As the race progressed, Hamilton began to look like he had his 8th title in the bag, as he led the race by a significant margin over title contender Verstappen. But suddenly, a moment arose that would change the course of motorsport history forever. The race was turned upside down by a late race safety car due to a crash by Nicholas Latifi in the final laps. With lapped cars between Hamilton and Verstappen, Verstappen had nothing to lose and opted to pit under the safety car, ending up on a new set of soft tyres. Confusion was apparent in the steward's booth when suddenly the race director Michael Masi allowed only the lapped cars between Hamilton and Verstappen to unlap themselves, which is different from the standard procedure.
And it's ending, wow!
Mike, this isn't right.
With the race now being able to restart with 1 lap to go, and Max being behind Lewis on a fresh set of softs, he lunged past Hamilton and ultimately took both the race victory and the World Championship on the final lap of the race.
It stays ahead of Lewis Hamilton, of all the drama, of all the controversy.
It was a virtuoso display of racing, mixed with an incredible slice of fortune, that made Verstappen the first ever Dutch champion in F1. With his win and the decision of Michael Masi, who the FIA later admitted had made an error, brought much discussion and division among Formula One fans. The 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix is a perfect illustration of F1's breathtaking unpredictability and stands as an example of just how much luck can change an outsider into a victorious hero in the blink of an eye. And that's it, guys. These were some of the luckiest Formula One moments that had us all on the edge of our seats. These occasions, whether it be Schumacher's contentious victory in 1994 or Hamilton's epic win in Brazil, serve as a reminder that Formula One is not just about skill, but also about the unpredictability of fate that contributes to the sport being what it is today. If you found this video interesting, you might also like our previous one about the worst crashes in Formula One history that you can check out right here. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more amazing racing content. Leave a comment with your favorite lucky moment and let us know if we missed any. This has been Racer's Reverie. See you in the next video.